Right, good evening once again. If you're just joining us, good evening. I hope the week has been great and also the day has been great. It's another week. It's the week three of our training, and it's going to be fun. So, like I said earlier on, I will be going over what we did last week in the next 20 minutes because we were not able to land. We didn't get enough time, let me put it that way, to land the training properly. So I will definitely be going through. If you have any question or questions, you can always type them. Right. Last week, we spoke about the three key things about Prince2. We spoke about the Prince2 principles. We spoke about the themes and the processes. We spoke about that. In order to remember them, they are 777. It's the lucky number. And we told ourselves that according to Prince2 methodology, a project is a temporary venture that exists to produce a defined outcome. And also we said that project management can be defined as the discipline of applying specific processes, principles to initiate, plan, execute, and manage the way that new initiatives are implemented within an organization. So basically, if you're new to project management, if you're just coming into project management field or career, projects are initiated because there is a birth of a change, or there is a change that needs to occur. That is what gives birth to project or program or portfolio in the way you want to put it. It's all about the organization. The organization want to move from point A to point B. They need to initiate a project in order for them to move from point A to point B. An organization has got a lot of activities or a lot of successes to pursue. Definitely they need to initiate a project. So you will agree with me that there will always a project. There will always be a project to manage. There will always be project to initiate and to manage. So it's that field that will always be relevant. No matter what you think about, it will always be relevant. So I showed us this table, even though the table is not really clear. So what we have on this table is what I'm about to talk about very soon now. Okay, so like I said earlier on, we have three key ways or three key things that the methodology of Prince2 stand upon. So the first thing is, we said we have principles, we have themes, and we have processes. Now, principles are just the guiding obligations for good practices. Like I said earlier last week, that in our homes, we have guiding principles. The guiding principles could be that when you wake up in the morning, you have to lay your bed. If you don't lay your bed, you're not going to have breakfast. If you wake up in the morning, you have to brush your teeth before you can have your breakfast. If you wake up in the morning, you have to come to your parents' room to say hello to them if you're still living with your parents. If you wake up in the morning, or you have to, for some of us, we have to do our morning devotion before we even get out of the bed, before we even check our phones. While some people, is the first thing they do. The guiding principle is, I need to check my phone to know exactly what is going on if there are no emergency. You understand? So we have different guiding principles that guides our life. So same thing goes with Prince2 methodology. Prince2 says we must have guiding principles. And the first guiding principles they spoke about is continued business justification, meaning whenever a project is initiated, there must be a continued business justification for that particular project. What do we mean by business justification? What we're saying is that we must always check, is this business still relevant? Is this project, is this project still relevant? Is it still going to give us a benefit that we set out for at the initial stage? Will it still give us the viability of what we said it will be? This particular project, we said we're going to get a benefit of £30,000 daily. Is this still giving us that particular benefit? Are we still realizing what we said we'll realize? So as a project progresses from start to finish, at every phase or stage of a project that you have set, you have to always check for the continued business justification. If you can't justify the need for that project anymore, then the best thing we can do is to stop a project. So that's why you see the first clause says, are the benefits still worth the risk or the cost? If it's a no, then stop the project entirely. If it's a yes, then let's continue to the next stage. Let's review the business case. Let's keep talking about it. What is a cost? What is it still? Is there still time benefits to this? Is there still cost benefit to this? So you have to always think about the justification of the project every time. The second guiding principle for PRINCE2 methodology is you must learn from experience. Now, PRINCE2 is saying that the project you're about to embark upon, there are people that are subject matter experts in this area. They have encountered various things in the past. And learn from experience is the reason why we get mentors. Learn from experience is the reason why we get coaches, because we believe that these are people that have got numerous experiences in the past. They've gone through this life journey. They know what it is like. They can guide me through the life journey. They can tell me that, you know what, if you do that, you'll do this, you'll do that. Even though the only learn from experience we don't do is wedding. uh, Even though when they tell you you don't have to spend that amount of money, you don't have to spend that amount of money, you don't realize until after the wedding that, oh, truly, I don't really need it. But when they tell you, and so that's the only project I've seen that we don't always learn from experience. But in some way, thanks to the new world now where we do wedding via Zoom. So that saves a lot of money now from people. Okay, so when we talk about projects, you have to always learn from experience. Learn from experience. Ask people that have gone through the project in the past. Ask them, okay, please, you've done this project. What were the things you encountered? How did you solve it? So that is what PRINCE2 is saying, that you need to always learn from experience. Let's learn from both successes and mistakes. Lessons log. We need to document it. Every time we need to document, we need to identify, we need to document, and we need to disseminate. And we need to give that report to the project board to say, you know what? I did this particular project a couple of years ago. These were the things that happened when I did that project. We need to make sure that such things do not repeat itself on our project. Oh, Joy did this particular project last 2 weeks. And what made Joy to succeed in that particular project was because Joy brought in Angela and AJ into the project. Okay, so I need Angela and AJ to be on my project as well if I really want to solve. So what you're doing is you're learning from experience. Okay, next to that is saying that you need to define roles and responsibilities. PRINCE2 is saying before you start up your project or while you're going through your project, I need to know the clear cut of what people are doing. I want to know what exactly is Ken doing, what exactly is Joseph doing, what exactly is Joanna doing on this project, what exactly is Faith, what exactly is Elizabeth doing on this particular project. We need to know. Is Elizabeth my project sponsor? Is Emmanuel my project manager? Or I'm the project manager, but is Emmanuel my team manager? Is Bukola the project assurance manager? So we need to always define roles and responsibilities. And PRINCE2 has got two things that we will talk about later on, maybe next week. That we will talk about later on. It is called RACI or RAM. RAM is called the Responsibility Assignment Matrix. While is another name for that is called RACI. RACI is called Responsible, Accountable, Consult, or Inform. That's RACI, RACI. So what this document is always saying us is, who is this person? What is that person responsible for? Is that person responsible for this product or this artifact or this deliverable? Is that person just accountable? Is that person, do we need to consult that person, or do we need to inform this person? So what you're trying to do is you're just trying to define the roles and responsibilities on the project. Okay, next to that is Prince2 says that we need to manage by stages. We need to manage by stages. What do we need to manage by stages? Meaning, on your project, you need to set stages. You need to set the team stage, the project stage. You need to set stages. Stages in the sense that, like I was saying last week, there are different stages that you need to go through on a project. You can say, you know what, when we finish planning, that is stage one. If that is the way we want to do it, when we finish, when we finish the initiation of a project, that's our stage. When we finish the planning, that's stage two. When we finish execution, that's stage three. You can do your own project like that, or you can say, you know what, we have our 1,000 laptops to migrate. 1,000 laptops to migrate. We're saying that, you know what, when we do the first review of all the laptops to see, okay, are all the laptops at that level of Windows 10 and also Microsoft 2010 that we want all the laptops to be before we do the migration? So we're now saying that, okay, we need to do an initial run of all the laptops. We need to do a kind of visibility study of all the laptops. We need to do a kind of initial check, so we'll say that initial check complete. We can now say this is gate one. So when we say that's gate one, what we're saying is, can we proceed to gate two? So if we are yet to complete the 1,000 laptops, the check on the 1,000 laptops, we cannot proceed to gate two. That is why you have that green light and that red light to say go, no go. If that is what we have set out to do right from the beginning, then we need to adhere to that particular stage gate review that we're saying that we need to do. So on a project, you will see stage gate review, you will see a no-go, a go and no-go point on your project. And as a PMO person, as a project manager, you need to always make sure that you set a go or no-go point on your project, because this will give the project board, this will give your sponsor visibility and control as well on your project. Even though you are having the control, but at the same time, you're giving them visibility of what your project is, and also you're telling them that I want you to be responsible as well. I want you to be part of this project. The moment you're saying I want you to be part of this project, I want you to be responsible as well on this particular project, what you're saying is, so, Mr. Sponsor, we've gone through this particular stage, take it. Can you review this stage and be sure that we are doing what you want us to do? The moment the guy says, yes, you're doing what you want us to do, that means you've gotten the green light to proceed to the next stage. Okay, let's go ahead. Next to that is managed by exception. I said it last week also that on project, there are tolerances. On project, there are tolerances, and I'll give you a typical example of a tolerance we have here is, I'll set a tolerance for myself that if I log in and based on the number of people that are registered for this particular training, if I have just 10 people, I'm not going to start. I will start a project, but the moment I have 20 people, I will start the project. I will start the training. For me, that is managing by exception, to say, you know what, I'm giving people I'm giving people exception on this particular training, that by the time we're 10, by the time we're 20, that's the only time I will start. But if we're 10, I'm not going to start. Does that make any sense? So we can have tolerances. We can have exception on time, on cost, on benefit, on risk, and on scope. What can we add to the scope? What can we remove from the scope? We can have tolerances. The project board can give you free hands to do it. The project board can tell you that, you know what, Miriam, as a project manager, you can make changes, or you can approve cost that is less than £10,000. But the moment it's more than £10,000, you can't afford to make that call. You have to come to us to make the call. It can tell you that, you know what, today, for time, anything that is affecting the project by 10 days, is affecting the project by 10 days, you have the opportunity, you have the allowance to make the changes. You don't have to come to us, but if it's more than 10 days, you need to come to us. So with that is setting tolerances for yourself. Is there a stage that are applicable to project management? For example, with Agile, you have the SDLC. Now, for Agile, this what we're talking about is what is called the traditional waterfall. Now, for the traditional waterfall, you use the SDLC for the traditional waterfall. That's the software development life cycle, which talks about visibility study, requirement gathering. After requirement gathering, that talks about design, that talks about build, and talks about implementation. That's your SDLC, your software development life cycle. So within an agile, you can have within a scrum or within a sprint. Within a sprint is when you have your SDLC, meaning within that sprint, within that 2-week sprint, 3-week sprint, 4-week sprint, you have your visibility study, you have your requirement gathering, you have your design, you have your build, you have your tests, and you have your implementation within that. So, Antonia, that is, so within a sprint, you have your SDLC. Now, within a waterfall as well, you have SDLC. So SDLC basically is waterfall. If you look at that, is the traditional waterfall. But what Agile has come to do is you don't have to wait for all of the project to be complete before you start doing your review. I'm not sure if I'm making sense now. So for waterfall, for what we're talking about now, yes, you have phases, you have stages here in stuff. But in Agile, you don't have phases or stages. What you have is you have stage, because you have stage gate review, you have your sprint review, and you have your Scrum review and all that. So you have all of that within that, but we don't use phase or we don't use stage. It is when we get into waterfall that we'll start using stage and phases. And so what we're saying here is we have, let me look for a very simple project. We have rice. Yes, let's look food that we are all familiar with. We've got rice to cook. We have rice to cook. So if we have rice to cook, we can say that, you know what, we want to cook rice for everybody. We want to cook rice for everybody on this call. And on this call, we have 50 people. Okay, so if we want to cook rice for everybody on this call, waterfall, the normal project management methodology that I'm taking you through now, is saying that we need to get our water, we need to get our ingredient, we need to get that, and cook the rice for the 50 people, even though the 50 people might not be present at once. So waterfall is saying, you know what, get your visibility study, get your requirement from people. Is it fried rice or jollof they want? Design how you want to do it, test if it's fit, if it's suitable for the 50 people, then serve the 50 people. That is traditional waterfall. Does that make any sense? So your visibility study might be phase 1, your cooking might be phase 2, your testing might be phase 3, and your implementation might be stage 4 or phase 4. That is traditional waterfall process. Now, Agile is saying, you know what? Yes, I know we need to cook for 50 people, but you know what if we cook for 50 people and at the end of the day, salt seems to be too much or pepper seems to be too much for the 50 people? That means that we'll get into trouble. So why not let us do it this way? Why not let us say that, you know what, since 50 people will not get here at the same time, we're going to have the first set of people that will come at 10 people, why not let us start cooking for that 10 people first? Let's cook for that 10 people. Even at the end of the day, while cooking, they might tell you, you know what, we don't want fried rice, it is jollof we want. We can still manage that change because we're not cooking for 50 people at this point. Imagine if we're cooking for 50 people and at the stage of us telling you to come and test it, salt was too much, pepper was too much, and they are even saying we don't want fried rice, it is jollof we said we wanted. You will run into trouble. But Agile is saying, you know what, no, let us do this thing in bits. Let's do this thing in tranches. Let's do it according to sprint to say, let's cook for 5 people. Then if we cook for 5 people, we can control that. We only need a smaller team. This little team can do that. They will cook it. We'll now say, you know what, Mr. Sponsor, come and taste this rice. Is this exactly what you want? Is it good? Is it proper? Is that what you want? The man said, yes, this is what I want. Okay, tick. Then let's go for the next 5 people. Let's go for the next 6 people. Let's go for the next 7 people. Does that make sense? That is what Agile is talking about. You have to be agile. You have to make sure that you're in tune with change and changes. You don't have to complete a project from start to finish before you realize that you're not doing what needs to be done. Okay, so that is the Antonian. All right, Angela is saying that do we review lessons log when logging new lessons? For example, if you log it, yes, you have to always review your lessons log every time. Lessons log is like your business case as well. It's like your raid log that you always need to review every time you log in lessons. You might not even have any lessons to log, but make sure on my home project, I make sure that we do our lessons log review almost every 2 weeks to see, okay, what have we learned? What can we document? Have we documented a particular lesson we learned? And as a PMO person, that is your job. That is your job. Yes, absolutely, BC. So basically, Agile is releasing the project in batches, learning from each release to make the next better. Absolutely. That is the perfect definition of what Agile is. Okay, so let's continue. Thank you, BC, for putting it in a simpler statement for me. All right. PRINCE2 is saying another principle that we have is you have to focus on product. You have to, yes, retrospective sprints. That means what you're doing with retrospective team is lessons learned. Exactly. In an agile environment, that's a question. That's a question that Angela is asking about lessons learned. What you do is retrospective. When you do retrospective meeting, what you're trying to do is you're trying to look at past sprints. What have we learned from the past sprint? What can we make better in the next sprint? That is what is called retrospective sprint. All right. Let's continue. Next principle says we need to focus on product. Are we delivering the quality required? So PRINCE2 is saying that as you're reviewing that, is this thing still viable? Is the project still, can we justify why we need to do this particular project? Same way is saying that you need to keep your eyes on the product. Keeping your eyes on the product means you're keeping your eyes on the final deliverable of the project. Like I said, to our rice for the 50 people, we need to keep our eyes on the product. What do we want to cook? Jollof rice. Jollof rice is what we want to cook. Are we delivering the quality, or are we going to deliver the quality of the rice? You will definitely know right from the beginning if you won't deliver the quality of the job right from the beginning. Are we having the right work split out? Are we having the right resources? Have we documented the right activities? Are we reducing the scope? So you have to, and one of the things you do here is you must have a product description. You must have a product. A product description is what will tell you what the product you're trying to do is all about, and also what are the acceptance criteria of that product. And this provides awareness. The product description provides awareness for each product purpose, the composition, and the quality criteria of each of that product. So whenever you get on the job, as a PMO person or as a project manager, you will be the custodian of this particular document that is describing what the product is. Even though the business analyst might develop what the product description is, but you will be the custodian of it so that when we finish the project, when we finish that particular deliverable, we can benchmark our product description to say, we said we will do this in our product description. Is that what we have delivered? That is what this principle is saying, that we must always focus on the product. Okay, that, which is the last one, is saying, you know what? You need to always tailor to suit the project environment. PRINCE2 is saying you need to always tailor to suit the product environment, meaning apply PRINCE2 with common sense, like the first cloud says. We can't say, oh, because I have given you every template, because I've given you all the themes, I've given you all the processes. So you want to do your rice project. You're saying, you know what, today we want to start up a project, and the project is we need to cook rice. If we need to cook rice, you're not saying, oh, guys, I need you to go and get me a project mandate. Oh, yes, I need you to go and develop a business case for me on why we need to cook rice. I want you to go and document this in the lessons log lessons learned document. Oh, I want you to do that. You're applying all the principles that you will apply on how to build a ship on just how to cook rice. No, PRINCE2 is saying, come on, man, apply PRINCE2 with sense. Tailor it to suit the kind of job you want to do. Because you've done a project and you used all the processes and the themes of PRINCE2 on that particular project, doesn't mean that will be necessary for this particular project. So that's why it's saying that you need to tailor it to suit your environment, your project environment. Okay, any question before we move to themes? So this is just a recap of what we did last week. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, none. In the absence of none, I will continue. Okay, next to that is themes. For themes, we have 7 themes as well. Just like we have 7 principles, we have 7 themes. This aspect needs to be addressed continually, and they work in parallel throughout the project. They work throughout the project. These are the themes that enhances. These are the key guys that makes the project a success, that work within the project to make it a success. If you manage these 7 guys properly, and funny enough, these 7 guys, we manage these 7 guys in our lives on a day-to-day basis. All you just need to do is just use to projectize it and bring it up to the forefront to manage your project. All right, the first one was the first one we spoke about, which is business case. Remember, one of the first principle, the first principle says that continued business justification. So if you're saying we'll continue business justification, then we need to also develop a business case. We need to develop a business case. All right, so we have business case, and we said continue business justification. And in business case, what do we need to do? In life, we always do this. Get something. While you're coming for this particular training, while you're coming for this particular training, you have to sit down and just say, okay, let's establish this thing. Why do I need to come for this training? What do I want to gain from this training? What's the benefit? What is the viability? Do I have the time? Do I have the time to attend this particular training? Do I really need this training? What exactly do I want to achieve coming for this training? What you're trying to do is you're just building a business case in your head. That is what we do for projects as well. But the only thing is we formalize our project's business case. All you've done so far is you've built a business case. So at the end of the day, you now realize that, okay, I need to join because I need to pursue a career in that. It will give me more exposure to actually know what I need to do. Yes, I have the time because it's 7 to 9. I would have been back from the present work I'm doing. Or if you're not, if you're in between jobs, you say, okay, yes, I have the time. I can dedicate the time because I need to build myself. So what you're trying to do is you're building a case. You're building a case for that business so that you will be able to understand what is the viability, what is it desirable, is it achievable. That is what you're doing. And that is why we're saying that on the project, you must always develop a business case. Is asking that what is the major difference from business justification and business. Now, the principle is the PRINCE2 principle is you must continually justify while you need to undergo the business. What do you need to justify that? Is a business case you need to justify the business. Does that make sense? So you need a business case to be able to make justification for the business, because that's where you document all your viability, your figures, the time, the ideas, and all that inside the business case. Okay, so who does a business case? I'll tell you, I've been within the project management for 13 years to 15 years, and I can tell you that I've never developed a business case before as a project manager or as a PMO person. It's dependent on what the organization is doing. Now, some organizations will tell you that it's the project manager that should develop the business case. Some organizations will bring in, some organizations will bring in a business analyst to come and develop the business case, while some organizations will give a consulting firm like Ernst & Young, like KPMG, like Capital, like Arthur Anderson and all that. They will give them that project to say, well, we have this idea. This is our idea. This is what we want. Can you develop a business case for us? So this is dependent on how big the project is. How big the project is will determine who will develop the business case. Like I said, some project managers can be given the task to develop a business case if they have the competence to develop it. While I've seen business analysts, I've been on a few projects where business analysts are the people tasked with the responsibility of developing a business case. So that is one of the themes of PRINCE2, saying you must establish a mechanism to judge whether your business is viable, is achievable, or desirable. And that mechanism is called a business case. So throughout the project, a business case is a living document. Throughout the project, you must always review your business case. Just like we said, that you must have a continued business justification. So if you're having a continued business justification, it is your business case that will always inform you of the continued business justification. Okay, hope I answered your question quite well. And Inaya, next to that is organization. Organization is saying that we must set up an organization. On a project, we must set up an organization. What organization is just saying is we must set up. One, I'm sure you must have seen it. And whenever you're writing your CV, one thing that must be on your CV is governance. You must always put governance on your CV. I don't know how you want to reward it to say, you know what, you set up a governance management system. You set up a governance for your project. Those are the buzzwords that they want to see on your CV. And what are we talking about when we talk about governance? Governance is majorly organization. How do I mean? This shows you, this guy you're seeing here, this is what governance is all about. This is what organization is all about. This guy here is showing us that, yes, we have the corporate or the program management or the organization at the top, the whole organization at the top. And we now have a project that we need to do. So the corporate management or the corporate level will set up a project board for your project. Like at the moment, my project, the project I am at the moment, the MD is part of a project board. The MD is coming from the corporate level into the project board, and the MD sits at the project board level to see, okay, I need to make decision. While in some organizations, the project board will say, the MD or the CEO will tell you that, you know what, director of project, go and be the head of that project board, or director of engineering or that portfolio director, go and be the head of that project board. So the project board is always appointed by the corporate organization. And that's where you can see the executive, the senior supplier, someone standing in, representing the senior supplier, and someone representing the senior user. So these are just representation to say, I am representing, the senior user is saying, I am representing the people that will be speaking for the people that wants to use the application or use the tool. While senior supplier is saying, you know what, I am standing as the person that is supplying this tool, that is supplying what needs to be done to the organization, okay, to the project. So the project board appoints the project manager, and the project manager the project manager might appoint the team manager, but the project board might appoint the team manager. But there is always a team manager that manages the team that sits underneath the project manager. Now we can have a project support, which is a PMO person that will definitely be supporting the project manager. We can have a change authority. We can have a change authority. A change authority is what I told you last week that is called the change control board. Then on the other side, we have the businesses. That means if you're running the project if you're running the project in an organization, so there will be businesses involved. Meaning there will be Department of HR, the Department of Finance, Department of Operations, Department of Project, all of that will be involved. So that's what we're calling businesses. And we have the person that is assuring the project assurance. All right, Fumi is asking, so what is the role of the project manager in setting up a project governance if the project board is set up by the organization? Okay, now, so your job in setting up a project governance, like I said, organization, your job to set up a project governance. This board, this organogram will be set up, and you will be the one to say, you know what, change authority. This is your role. This is your role. This is your responsibility. These are the people you are communicating to. This is your communication line. That's the person that needs what you need to say. You're saying that, okay, the project board will be reporting to you every 2 weeks. These are the project reports we'll be giving you. This is what you'll be getting from us. That is what is called governance. You're trying to govern the whole organization or the whole project. You're saying this is a reporting line. This is what you'll be getting. This is what we need from you, and all that. That is what governance is actually about. So all the communication that is happening as a project manager, you will be the one to set that one up. But sometimes when you have a project management office manager, a PMO manager on the project, it is a job of the PMO to do all of this, to set up governance. So when you go on JobServe, when you go on City Jobs and all of that, you will always see there that the PMO manager or the PMO lead must be able to set up governance within the project. They always want the PMO to do that, because don't forget, communication, management of risk, issues, and all of that. They expect the the PMO manager to be able to do all of that, or the PMO lead to do that. And for some organizations want a PMO analyst at that level, or because they want to pay, they don't want to pay bigger money. They want to pay some appreciable amount of money. So they want a PMO to do that as well. They want a PMO to be able to come in and set up a governance structure for the project, to say who is reporting to who, how many. A typical example, a project manager reports to the project board maybe once in 2 weeks or once in a month. Like on my own project, we report to the project board once a month, and it's called steer code. Like I have the steer code tomorrow. I have the steering committee tomorrow. Tomorrow now, it's a 3-hour meeting where you have to lay down what you've been doing for the last 1 month, the decision you want them to make for you, if you want them to make a budgetary decision, a change request decision that your change authority cannot make because it's above their pay grade, you need to move it to that level and all that. Okay, so, and you're saying that, you know what, team manager to project manager, I need you to report, or the team managers, I want the team managers to report to me every week. I want to see your report every week. So don't forget, you are reporting to the project board once in a month, but you want the team manager to report to you every week, or sometimes once in 2 weeks, but you want it, and the team members report to you every day. So what you've done in that is you set up a project governance, and this must be always documented. There must be a terms of reference. There must be a terms of reference for all of these reporting line. Does that make sense? Okay, Fumi is still asking, ideally, what is the role of the PMO person if the PM set up everything? Basically, the role of the PMO person as a PMO analyst, or a PMO support, or a PMO coordinator, administrator, your role is just administrative. When they set that one up, your role is to come in and manage that process. So you're there to manage the process that has been set up. But if they don't have all of that at all, your role will be coming to work with the project manager to set that up as well. Okay, thank you. So that that is that about organization. Okay, good. Then we have the next we have is quality. Remember, we said you must focus on the product. One of the principles says focus on the product. So when you're focusing on the product, you have to define and implement the means by which the project will verify products that are fit for purpose. I said it last week. I said great is different from quality. Great is different from quality. Great is different from quality. Quality has got two definitions when it comes to project management. The first definition is it fit for purpose? And number two does it conform to requirement? Fit for purpose and conformance to requirement. So if they're asking you to deliver a product, in your mind, you know that this product is of lower grade. This particular product is of lower grade. Guy, why would you be going for this kind of product? The product is you have a Samsung S20, and you have a techno whatever techno product. Now, that doesn't mean the techno is of low quality. The grade is of lower grade compared to what Samsung S20 will do. But if the project is saying that for all of our team members, we want you to deliver techno phones to all of our team members. Okay, that is what they've required. If someone asks you that, okay, is the quality of your project or the product that you're delivering for the project, how well is that quality? And someone is fighting that, oh, because you're delivering techno, the quality of a project is terrible, we will not collect it. No. What have I conformed to requirement? What was the initial requirement you said? The initial requirement says, or the requirement of the project says, deliver techno phone to our team members. Have I delivered the required amounts? Have I delivered that? Is it fit for purpose that you want to use it for according to the document, according to the acceptance criteria, according to the product description? If the answer is yes, then you are in line with what is expected of you. Does that make any sense? So for your project, you have to define, you must have your quality planning. If the project manager must develop a quality plan, meaning how do we want to manage quality on this project? What are the acceptance criteria? What are the measuring tools we want to use to measure quality? You have to define your quality management approach. You have to specify customers' quality expectation and acceptance criteria. What exactly, Elizabeth, what exactly, as a project sponsor, what exactly is your expectation for us to deliver this particular project? What are your expectations? Oh, in NECA, what are your expectations for us to deliver this particular project? So we at the same time, we have to define roles and responsibilities. We have to use our lessons log form to understand, okay, past project, what has been done in the past project? How have they managed quality in the past project? We have a quality management system. We should have a quality register. We must have someone that is responsible. The project manager is accountable for the quality of the project, but it might put that responsibility on someone else to say, you know what, be responsible for this thing, but how I will be accountable for it. Does that make any sense? So you have all of that, and also the quality methods, how you want to test, how you want to do your acceptance records, your acceptance criteria, and also what is contained in your product description document. Okay, sorry, I'm just taking water break. All right. Next to that is a plan. as a plan. Let's talk about plan. For plans, you have to plan. It is a must for you to plan. You can't go within the project. So Prince2 is saying, you know what, you have to manage by stages. And that is exactly what Prince2 is saying, that if you have to manage by stages, you need a plan. If our principle is saying we need to manage by stages, then you need a plan. You need a plan. Coming on this particular project of training, you had a plan. And the plan is, or if you've got children, oh, I need to get my children to sleep before 7 o'clock, so that I can have this particular training. Or if you're working, you're saying that, you know what, I can't log in on the train because it's gonna be noisy, so I need to leave office before 6 o'clock so that I can get home and freshen up, have my dinner, then I can get ready for the. What you've done so far is you've just planned. You're planning. So we're saying that the purpose of planning is to facilitate communication control by defining the means of delivering the product to where, how, by whom, estimating, and when and how much. So whenever we plan, what we're trying to do, we're trying to list out what are the activities that we need to do in order for us to achieve this particular project or deliverable, who is doing what, how long is it going to take us to do this. So Prince2 is saying that, you know what, you need to manage all of this. And can I tell you, on projects, there are people that they employ strictly to come and plan. Strictly to come and plan. Your job is to come and plan the project for us from start to finish. Use your tool, use your MS project, use your Primavera, use your Excel spreadsheet, use Asta Power Project, use At Risk. Just come and plan for us. And that is a role for some people. So as a PMO person, they want you to be able to know how to use MS Project, or at worst, know how to use Excel spreadsheet to do your Gantt chart. It is very, very vital for you to know how to use either of those two tools. But I always encourage people, if it was a physical training, I will have taken you through MS Project, introduction to MS Project, and also install the tool for you. But it's massive enough to plan. It is enough to plan, but for what you're gunning for, for what you're gunning for you to get a job in a good organization, I will advise you to go and learn MS Project and Excel spreadsheet and how to plan with that. And if you have a friend who understands Primavera, yes, absolutely go for Primavera. Tell your friend to teach you Primavera. And also, if you have people in the construction industry and you're looking for a PMO role within the construction industry, you should go for Asta Power Project. So Smart Sheets, projectmanagement.com. Little organizations are the ones that are using that because some of these things are free and they don't want to pay for the enterprise solution of Microsoft Primavera to use. So that's why they always go for the cheaper option of Smartsheet and all that. But like I said, I've worked as a planner. I've worked as a planner for so many years as well. I have never used Smartsheet before, and I've never seen jobs. I've never seen jobs that are for project planner that is asking that, you know what, who can use Smartsheet? No, they will ask you who can use MS Project, who can use Primavera, and who can use Asta Power Project. So if your goal is to be a planner, you should go and use your MS Project. How about the combo of Smartsheet and Excel? Yeah, it works fine. It works fine. But like I said, all you want to do, remember, all you want to do is you want to sell yourself. And the best way to sell yourself is to be sophisticated enough to actually see and use the tool that is well recognized, tool that most organizations are using compared to what some little organizations are using that it's just they don't even have a long-lasting project. So you really want people that are managing bigger projects, they use MS Project, they use Primavera, they use Asta Power Project. Okay, so that is about planning. You have to draw your product flow diagram. You have to understand your product description. You need to know what are the external products. What are the external products? What are the internal products? How do we manage it? How do we manage by exception? What are the levels of plan we need? The team needs a plan. There's a plan for the stage and there's a plan for the project. So a project is the overall plan. The stage is a subset of the overall plan, and team plan is part of the project plan as well. So it's like you're saying, I need to take little out so that I can serve these people. Instead of serving them from the entire pot, I can just dish it and go and serve these people. So that is what that plan structure is telling us. Okay, any questions so far? I'll pause to ask your questions. Okay, Yami is asking, are we talking project plan? High level, a stage plan, which I presume is also known as critical plan. You're taking me to planning. You're taking me to in-depth of planning, which we will do next week. But let me answer your question. We're talking about plan as a whole. Plan in the sense that what are the quality management plan? What is the risk management plan? What is the schedule plan you need? All the plans you can think about on a project is what we're talking about. Stage plan is not called critical plan. What is called a critical path? What is your critical path? Is a path you need to take from the start of a project to the finish of a project, which is always they call it is the shortest time, is the shortest amount of time that a project can be completed. If you have to go to the in-depth definition of it, it's telling you the shortest time that a project has to be completed, or the longest path through a project network diagram. So that is the book definition of what a critical path is. But what a critical path is this is it. From start of a project to the finish of a project, how do we go? How do we go with that project? What are the activities we need to do? So critical path is more concerned about the activities that needs to be done on a project. A typical example is, let's go back to cooking rice. We want to cook rice. We're saying that first thing is we need to go to the market, get all our ingredients. No, that's not the first thing. The first thing is we need to sit down, talk about the ingredients we need. Okay, I'll talk about that. Talk about the ingredients that you need. We need to now cost it. We now need to go to the market to buy. We now need to come back, rearrange the stuff we bought. We now need to boil our water, pour our rice. So you can see the process. While I'm saying all of that, now, because we want to cook jollof rice, while we are boiling our rice, you know one thing, we can be running. We can be blending our pepper. Can't we? Yes, we can. So now we can say that blending of the pepper is not on our critical path because we can start cooking. The rice is going to take us 45 minutes to cook. Blending of pepper is just 5 minutes. So we can afford to, while we pour the rice cooking, we can blend our pepper, or we can even wait till after 30 minutes of cooking before we blend our pepper. It is not on the critical path. But what is on the critical path, where those things I just listed to say, you need to go from here to here to here to here to here to here to here. And you can't afford to miss any of those steps. If you miss any of those steps, your project will run into trouble. That is what is called a critical path. So we'll still talk about critical path in depth later, Yomi. So it's just to quickly give you a brief definition. Okay, you have some yes, very true. Some will tell you I need a plan, but when they tell you I need a plan, always come up to say, you know what, on this your plan, what exactly is the critical path? Because you have a plan doesn't mean that is a critical path. Within the plan is the critical path, if at all there is. And I'll tell you how you need to get your critical path out next week, because you can have a plan without a critical path. But what do you need to do in order for you to get your critical path out? And as a PMO person, you'll be expected, as a project manager, you'll be expected to know how to get your critical path out of a project whenever you're on a project that you're working with, because you will, as a PMO person, you will be the custodian of that critical path. If there's no plan, if there's no project planner or PMO planner on the project, as a PMO, you are the custodian of it, but the project manager is the owner of that plan. You are just the custodian or administrator of that particular plan. Okay, Tunji is asking, how will you answer an interview question about project governance and also stakeholders management? So for project governance, this is the way I will answer it. They can ask you this particular question to say, okay, Tunji, can you tell us how you have managed governance, or how you have set up a governance on your project, in one of your projects? Can you tell us what's your understanding about project governance? So how you just this is the way I will always answer the question. Say, oh, thank you very much. Basically, project governance, in my last project, or in my the project before the last, I was the PMO lead. And when I go into the organization, I started up with the project at the early stage. So I was able to understand what are the reporting line. I understood what are the necessary information that I needed. So I had to set up a project governance level within the organization, within the project, so that I will understand who reports to who, and everybody can understand the flow of communication, the flow of information within the project, and also making sure that whoever needs a particular information will get the information as I went due, and also asking each of the key stakeholders what level of information is needed, or do they need, or is necessary to be passed to them. So with this, a clear structure was placed, and I got a sign off from the project board as well as the project manager on the project governance structure that was set up by me. And with that really helped us to move ahead, because prior to this time, before I joined, there were a lot of conflict on the project manager, or the project sponsor, or the project board asking for information. And the project board is not supposed to be asking for information. We should be supplying them information as when needed. So my role was to come in, set up that governance structure, and with that, we're able to understand what information is needed and what information needs to go to a particular project manager. Then after this, I needed to develop terms of reference for each of those meetings that was set up. So for once a month, I had a project board where the project managers sit around the table to discuss and inform the project board or the program manager on how far they have gone with their respective project. That is the first level of the project board meeting I did. And there's another one that is called the project steerco meeting. And for this project steerco meeting, what I did is, this is not the project manager now. These are now the key stakeholders within the organization that has a very large influence on the project. And as a PMO lead or a PMO manager, I worked with my program manager to make sure that we meet this set of people once in 2 months to inform them on what is happening on the project based on the information they need. And also coming down to the project level, within our team, we always meet at least once, at least for 15 minutes every morning, to make sure that we discuss what could be done better. What did we do yesterday? So much like a stand-up meeting in Agile, even though we're not doing Agile, but what we're doing is, so Tunji, you can see the way I linked up the whole thing now. And while you're answering the question for them, always put yourself to say, this is what you've done and how you would do it for the organization. So that is how to answer most of the interview questions. So you can see the way I spoke about project governance, and also I've linked it up to stakeholders management, because all I did with that project governance is managing stakeholders, managing the conflict that was there before I got into the organization. And I told you how I have managed it, and everyone is happy with the right information they are getting, with the right authority they are giving, with the right direction they are giving to the project. Does that make any sense to you, Tunji? All right, good. All right, someone else is asking, Fumi is asking, in a project, other than project plan, milestone, read log, status report, what other plans would you need? You will need numerous plans on a project, but it's now left to your competence. Is that, yes, absolutely, for me, yes, putting a structure in place is now left to your competency or your competence level to know what you need to develop. A typical example is, I'm working at the moment as a project management lead or manager for a particular organization. And when I got in, they practically had nothing. And I had to work with my program manager to develop the schedule management plan to say, okay, how do we manage the plan on this project? How do we manage our schedule? What is the plan in managing our project plans? What is the plan in managing our quality, the way we deliver the product? Okay, what is the plan in managing risk? We need a plan to be put in place on how risks are managed. We need a plan to know how we're managing the scope that has been given to us. Okay, so in other organizations, you can see this as strategy. They might say it as strategy, not as plan. You hear schedule management strategy, risk management strategy, quality management strategy. They are all plans. They are all plans on how. But when you're talking about activity plan, now then you're talking about a proper project plan. Does that make it? So you hear project plan. Whenever you hear project plan, what you're talking about there is an activity plan that has got detailed activity on how a particular deliverable will be delivered, then how things will be done from A to Z, going through B, C, D, up until the head. And within that, we have different milestones attached to it. Okay, I hope that answers your question for me. Samad Kazim is asking, critical path may be our minimum time needed to achieve our project. I disagree with that statement. And I'll tell you why I disagree with that statement. Even they will tell you that it's the shortest time. Yeah, it's the minimum time that we need to achieve, that a project can be completed, that we need to achieve our project goals. Okay, let me come back, Samad. No, I'm not disagreeing with that, but we need to define, before you can say this is a definition, you need to define what exactly are the project goals, or what exactly is your project goals. So whenever you hear there is a book definition that you can see out there, the book definition says it is the shortest time that a project can be completed. So when you go for project management, proper project management training, when I say proper, meaning you want to get certified, you go for the training, and they give you a network diagram, and they will show you a network diagram, and within that network diagram, they will tell you, okay, if you go from part A, B, C, D, whatever, you get to this point. If you go through A, D, G, F, A, B, you get to this path. Okay, I wish I can, give me 1 minute. Let me pop out a network diagram for us and tell you what I'm looking for, if I can get a network. All right, can you all see my screen? Might look tiny a little. I just searched out. Okay, yes, so please type yes if you can see my screen. Okay, good. Thank you for that, Kemi. Now, what you're seeing here is a plan, is a project. The project says we need to go from start to finish. So within this particular project, we've got activity A, B, C, D, E, F to complete. Right. So the question now is, these are all activities we need to do. But within this activity, we have various parts. That means we can go from A to B to finish. Right? Can you see that? We can go from A to B to finish. We can go from start C to B to finish, or we go from C to D to finish, or we go from E to D to finish, or E to F to finish. No, so this is, now it was because Samad asked this question. Trust me, you're not going to use this on the job. This is just book. If you want to get certified with your PMP, or you want to get certified in your schedule professional, yes, you're going to need this. But I'm just trying to use this to explain the idea behind critical path for you. Now, we have a start. So when you look at that, 6 plus 8 is 14. So that means we need 14 days to move from A to B to the finish. So if you are moving from C to B to finish, we need 10 days. So if you look at this, if I give you the definition of this SAMAD definition, if you take it literally, SAMAD definition says is critical path is the minimum time needed to achieve your project goals. What is our project goal? Our project goal is to get to finish line, right? If our project goal is to get to finish line, so that means I can tell you that 2 CD is 2 plus 2 plus D, and C plus D is 8, while 6 plus 8 is 14. So that means the earliest time for me to move from start to finish is C and D. How many people agree with that? Someone is telling me Samad is agreeing. Okay, that's the reason why I said I will disagree with your definition. Excellent. Thank you. You agree with me that you agree that CD is a critical path. No, CD is not the critical path. People, it's confusing now. It is confusing. The critical path for this particular project is A to B to finish. EF, D is saying EF. EF is 8 days. It will take you 8 days to complete activity D, E, and F. Don't forget, Sama, don't forget that what is your project goal? Your project goal is to go from start to finish, meaning you must be able to finish activity A, B, C, D, E, F before you can say that you have achieved your goal. Your project goal is to make sure that all the activities in between start and finish are completed. That is your project goal. That's why I said you need to understand your definition. If that is your project goal, then moving from A to B to finish is your critical path. That is the earliest time possible to finish the project activities, not to finish a path, to finish the project activities, to achieve your project goals. I'll repeat, the project goal is to make sure that you move from start to finish by completing all the activities within the project. Somebody is saying, can we use milestone? How do you mean? There will always be milestone within the project. Milestone has 0 duration. It doesn't really count. It's got 0 duration. So a milestone doesn't count whenever we're talking about critical path. Does that make sense? Because a milestone has 0 duration. We'll talk about this when we get into proper planning next week. I'll dedicate 30 minutes to talk about planning. Okay, so what am I saying in essence, guys? With this structure now, will you agree with me that while we are doing activity A, with this structure you're seeing, activity C and D, and E will be completed within activity A, because activity A is going to take us 6 days, activity C is going to take us 2 days, and activity E is going to take us 4 days. So if we're saying we're doing activity A for the next 6 days, that means we can start doing activity C and we can start doing activity D. It will finish before activity A can finish. So meaning we don't have to count them as being on the critical path. They are not on the critical path. And that was what I was explaining earlier on, to say, you know what, we want to cook our jollof rice. To boil our rice is going to take us, exactly, yes. They are all start to start. Exactly. So we're saying that to cook our rice, it's going to take us 45 minutes. Meanwhile, to blend our pepper, it's going to take us 5 minutes. So can we be cooking our rice and be blending our pepper? Of course, yes, we can. Cooking rice and blending pepper are not dependent on each other. But can we blend pepper without going to buy pepper first? No, we need to buy pepper before we can blend pepper, meaning they are dependent on each other. For blending your pepper and cooking your rice and boiling your rice, they are not dependent at all. But you cannot cook your jollof rice until you have blended your pepper and boiled your pepper. So at the end of the day, they are dependent on each other, but as we speak. So that is what activity A, C, and E are all about. Activity A can continue, activity C also can continue, and activity D can continue because they do not depend on each other. Does that make any sense? Good. So that is what a critical path is all about. So you always be careful when you define your definition as the shortest time that a project can be completed or the shortest amount of time that you need to achieve your project goal. Please know that when we say that, what we're saying that for you to complete all the activities within the project, what's the path you can take to make sure that activities are all completed, and the path we can take to make sure that all other activities are completed within that particular path, and that path is path A to B. With that, you can do every other activities within that path. Does that make sense? Please. I know, so, like I said, talking about critical path is a whole 30-minute training if you are doing a PMP. Okay, so let's go back to our slide for the day. Okay, change. Let's talk about change. Okay, Yomi is asking, in effect, we have activities running concurrently. Absolutely, we have activities running concurrently. That is it. Okay, change. On a project, you have change, you have changes that would definitely occur on a project. So the purpose of this is to identify, assess, control any potential or approved changes to the project baseline. What is a baseline? Anybody want to type that? What's the baseline? When we say baseline, what do we mean? Quickly, what do we mean? Baseline. Adebisi, I'm asking that what is the baseline? Okay. And Inaya is saying current state of a project. Yomi is saying a starting point for comparison. Okay. D is saying a sign off of the project plan. Okay. Fumi is saying POR. What's POR? Sorry, I don't like acronyms. Party is saying starting point, minimum threshold, our minimum starting point, point of reference, the starting point of your project plan. Okay. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, your whole a baseline is the agreed plan between stakeholder and project manager before the project begins, the accepted project goals. Okay. Yeah, we are all very correct. We are all very, very correct. If that is what we're talking about, is a reference level against which an entity is monitored. So we're saying, so on a project, we always have various baselines, but there are 3 key baselines. The 3 key baseline is, number 1, we must have a scope baseline. Scope baseline to say, like someone said, is the agreed. Someone said, is the agreed. Someone used the word agreed. Agreeable, deliverable, agreeable. Yes, someone said that. So when we're talking about baseline, we consider scope. What is our scope? Our scope is we need to cook rice for 50 people. That is a scope, right? That's the scope of work. Jollof rice for 50 people. Good. That is a scope. So we're saying that, you know what, Angela, is that what the scope is? And Angela, as a project sponsor, is saying, yes, Yomole, that is a scope. You know what? That's the scope. Let's go ahead with that. I'm like, okay, and I develop a document. I say, okay, I need your signature. I need both of us to agree that this is the scope. We're scoping that as 50. So if Angela comes back tomorrow and Angela says, you know what, I don't think we should do 50. I think we should do 60. Okay. You said we should do 60, but we said we will do 50. Okay. So you can see now that is a change that is coming to the baseline. So we've both agreed. That's the agreed reference level, agreed point of reference, agreed point that we've all agreed. So a baseline is there is always an agreement when it comes to baseline. There must be an agreement to say, you know what? So I've just spoke about scope baseline, then there is a planned baseline. There's a schedule baseline where we say this is our project plan. We're saying that how many days are we going to use for this, for that, for that, for that. Can we all agree now? Our baseline is this plan. That is it. Bam. Baseline. Let's go. So that is now someone say, yeah, that's the point in which we measure performance against. Yes. So that is not a point in which we need to always measure our performance against. So why are we saying this? Now, we're saying that a typical example is we're saying that, oh, you know what? Project team guys, let's call ourselves project, what do we not call it? Project. Someone give me a name. Project. Give me a project name. Let's call ourselves a project name. Tenacity. Excellent. Angela, tenacity. Project tenacity. We have project tenacity. Project tenacity is let's migrate 1,000 laptops from from Microsoft 2010 to Office 365. Okay, so we're saying that according to our plan, our baseline is 1,000 laptops. So that's the scope. We've baselined the scope. That is it. According to our plan, we're saying that it's going to take us 3 months. If it's 3 months, first month, we want to be able to have migrated 400 laptops. The second month, we want to be able to have migrated 400 laptops, while the third month, 200 laptops. So we have 400, 400, 200. That is our baseline. So the end of month one, we now say, you know what? What was our baseline? Our baseline, what we agreed in the plan is 400, 400, 200. Good. End of month one, how many laptops have we migrated? What are we measuring against at the end of month one? People? Class? What are we measuring against at the end of first month? How many laptops? 400. Excellent. So let's not assume that at the end of month one, we now discover that we've only done 250. We've only done 250. That's what we've done so far, 250. Whoa. Now, there's a red flag to say, our baseline, we baselined our plan and we said 400. So that means we are 150 behind. Exactly, D, we are 150 behind. So we now need to start thinking about, you know what? Are we going to still be able to deliver the project? If we're saying 400, 400, 200, and now here comes 150 behind, are we going to still be able to deliver everything if we now need to sit down and assess the risk and assess what has just happened? If we discovered that, you know what, it's not going to be possible to deliver that, we now need to raise what is called this change. We now need to identify that, you know what, there's a problem. There's a problem. So that's what it's called, identify. There's a problem. Let's assess. Let's assess this. Okay, now we've assessed it and we can see that, you know what, we can't deliver with the initial plan. Let's control any potential or approved changes. So you've identified, you've assessed. What you now need to do, you now need to go to your change authority. To your change authority. Now, D is saying, okay, maybe we need to increase resources or work overtime. Now, before you can increase your resources, remember you need more money to be able to do that. So you need a change request to say, well, we can manage this, but we need more money. We need more money to be able to manage this. As a project manager, you are not allowed to just make changes like that. What you're doing so far is called scope creeping. So you need to come back and sit down and just say, you know what, let us assess the change. If you don't do anything to this, we will not be able to deliver month 3. We can see that it will take us another 1 month to be able to deliver. Okay, now you can say, okay, that means we need to extend. But if we have 3 or more resources to this, because this particular project is effort driven, if we had 3 more system analysts to the project, we will be able to meet up with time. Does that make any sense? So that is adding more resources. Or we can say, you know what, we want people to work overtime to be able to do that. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to assess what is the impact of the change could result into. You now take this to your change control board. They will be the one to decide whether it is approved or rejected or deferred. So 3 jobs: approved, rejected, or deferred. That is what you do whenever we talk about change. That is what change is all about. Change is to be able for you to manage what exactly could be the problem with the project, cost-wise, scope-wise, and schedule-wise. And that's why we say, what is the purpose or options of responding? We need to capture it. We need to access it. We need to look for the purpose. We need to decide. And the decision is, do we go ahead? Do we reject it? Or do we defer and we do not implement the result of that particular conversation? That to say, the project board has said they will give us more money to put people on the project so we can employ 3 more people to do the job, or no, they want us to continue and they've given us 1 month. They've extended the project by 1 month, so we'll deliver a month 4. Okay, does that make any sense to us? Okay, Yomi is asking that 150 might be outside of the tolerance, which will then necessitate an exception report or a plan. Definitely. No, it's for this particular one, 150. Don't forget, we want to do 400. It's baseline. It's baseline, 400 baseline. So in our exception report, in our exception plan, we will have seen it there to say, you know what, if your project is going to extend by 2 days or 3 days, yes, you carry on. You can implement the change. There's tolerance for that. We have a tolerance for that. We have a threshold. We have a slack, or we have a float in our plan that can cater for that. Do you understand? We've built in float. Don't forget that when we say, well, by the time I was telling you that 3 months, we've built in float. We know that normally, this project should take you 2.5 months. We've only given you 2 weeks float to work with, and that is your exception. To say you can creep into that, and we will not have a problem. But for 150 laptops, no, exception will not work there. You definitely need to go get change requests. When you have tolerance, no, that's all. When we have tolerance, we just need exception plan. No, because don't forget that you have tolerance already. So when you have tolerance, it is documented in your exception plan and all that. Answer. Excellent, good stuff. All right, so progress. Next theme is called progress. On every project, remember what we just I've actually spoken about progress. What you just did is you looked at what needed to be done. 400, we've only done 250. We have 150 left. What you've just done is progress. You're checking the progress of your project. You now check the progress of your project. You now say that it's 150, or we said we'll do 400. We've done 400. Or week 1, you say, okay, we've completed that milestone, that milestone, that milestone, that milestone. So that is what progress is all about. Progress is the purpose of progress is to establish mechanism to monitor and compare actual achievement against those planned, provide a forecast for the project objective. So we have, this is the baseline. This is what is planned. This is what has been planned. How are we doing with what is planned? A typical example is this particular training. What is planned? We planned that by week 3, I'm supposed to be on raid management. And trust me, I am still on week 1. You understand? I'm still on week 1. I'm finishing week 1 now and all that. So we now need to review it. Okay, guys, what is happening? How do we go about this? Are we going as planned? No, we're not going as planned. Don't forget that 1 hour was taken from the class also last week. So that is, so with that 1 hour that was taken from the class, exactly for me, with the 1 hour that was taken from the class last week, I now need to go and meet the project organizer to say, you know what, you took 1 hour away from me, and besides, we're running behind schedule. Is it possible you approve 1 extra week? So I can't just come to say, you know what, class continues. No, I have to go and meet the provost of the citadel to say, please, is it possible we'll extend this by 1 week? Can you communicate this to the stakeholders, to all the trainees, to say we would like to extend it by 1 week? So stylishly, I'm telling you guys I will extend it by 1 week. So, but I'll get the approval. Don't worry. But just be informed. So I will get the approval. We'll extend it by 1 week and all that. So that is what it is all about. So we're trying to measure progress. We're trying to measure our progress. We measure it against baseline, the project plan. What is the exception? What's the tolerance? What is as the project manager agreed to work packages? How are we doing? So we measure progress, and you must be able to develop your progress report updates. You must always develop your progress report update. Then there are two types of progress control. There's the time-driven controls are created at regular intervals, like we have our ILA reports. Then there's the end stage report. So ILA report is you can say within your project, like when I worked on the particular project, the company I worked for before I joined this new one, that was the first time I was going to be using ILA reports, really, because they were more concerned about ILA reports. ILA report, we do ILA report for some projects every week, while we do for some projects every month. So it's just a form. ILA report is let's look at a sample of ILA report. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so ILA report. I wish I could get a Word document of ILA report. ILA reports doc. Yes, this is an ILA report. Excellent. Let's look at ILA report. Can you see my screen properly? Type yes, please, if you can see. Bum, bum, bum. Sorry, I'm trying to make it up one page. Oh, it's done. Okay. There. Okay. So you can see. Okay, good. This is a sample of an ILA report. An ILA report is a report you develop. So if you're working in a Prince2 environment, if you're in a Prince2 environment will always want you to use ILA reports. While in some organization, I'll show you another form of report that you can get in other organizations. So if you look at this, they have how are we doing? So you can see status summary with the overall project. Time, how are we doing? Are we red or amber? Last period, we're amber last period. Where are we now? We're running behind schedule. So like you can see the time being an amber here. What this one is saying is we might not be behind schedule yet, but I think the way things are going, we might be behind schedule very soon. That's why you can see amber. If you're behind schedule, you will see red. So you can see cost is green, scope is green, quality is green, benefit is green, risk is green, and all that. You can see this report. What is the work package? What is the baseline date that we said we will do that particular task? Because we might not be able to hit that particular baseline, let's forecast. We're forecasting that, you know what, we might not be able to hit 1st of August, but with the way things are going, I think we'll finish on 1st of September. So you're putting a forecast there. And if you're sure, I'm very sure that yes, the baseline is still the baseline. That is what your forecast will be. You can see next reporting period, what are the activities we need to do for the next reporting period? Maybe it's 1 week, maybe it's 2 weeks. So you have to have it there. What are the project and stage tolerance status? What are the status of your stage tolerance? You have your stage tolerance. Were there any changes that were requested within this period? So you have your change reference number. You have the description of a change. Was that this change has just been raised? Has that change been approved? Has that change been rejected? Is the change pending? So this is what you have in your ILA report. And as a PMO, this is your baby. This is one of your babies as a PMO person. As a project manager, this is your baby as well. The PMO is just there to help you out, to make sure that you're documenting this, you're filling this out. And a PMO, you will fill this and you will show it to your project manager to say, you know, I feel this. Can I submit this now to the program manager or to whoever that this document needs to be submitted to? Does that make any sense? Good. So while some other organizations has got They've got just one template like this. I love this. I love this. Okay. So I'm sure you can see my screen as well. So they have this as a one-pager. You can imagine the one I showed you. You've been asked that, you know what, we need to report, we need to give reports to. So as a governance, as part of the governance we spoke about, this is your job. This is part of the governance stuff we spoke about. Like the document I showed you earlier on, that document, you cannot give the MD or CEO of an organization that highlight report. It is too detailed to give an MD of an organization such report. But when you give an MD of an organization this particular report, the guy is happy. One page. The guy can look at this in one page and understand what is going on your project. The project summary, the key phases, what are the key phases? We need analysis, where we are, and what are the tasks completed in the last reporting cycle? What are the tasks planned for the next reporting cycle? What are the tasks that are delayed? What is the budget? What are the key risks and key issues? A one pager, exactly. Status, on track, we are not on track, we are on track, we are not on track. Really, one pager, the guy can see everything straight up, without issue, without problem. So sometimes this particular one pager works very well. Why the other one, the other highlight report I showed you, is showing highlight of every little bit of change. So Bukola is asking, I'll come back to that, Ken, I'll check it out now. Bukola is asking which one is widely used. It's all, like I said, it's all dependent on the organization you're working with. Really, it is all dependent on the organization you're working with. A typical example is, at the moment where I am at the moment, I report to the program manager as well as the MD. So it's that one pager I do at the moment. I just do the one pager. One pager for each of the projects. I've got 9 projects under me that I'm looking at as a PMO manager. I just do one pager for each of those projects, and that is it. While I was in the other organization, it was at the portfolio level. We wanted all the projects under us to develop an highlight report. We passed that highlight report through an Excel spreadsheet developed with macros, and all we did was just to extract a one pager out of that so that we can use that to report to the CEO of the organization. Does that make sense? So it's dependent on your organization, but you must be able to know how to fill in each of those reports dependent on what your organization is using. Okay, Ken is saying he's not sure I answered Fumi's question. What is Fumi's question again? Question says, what would I need to do if I find myself in a division within an organization that never follow rules but get things done, and the organization wants to put a P2 or agile structure in place? How will I get them to conform? Okay, so best way to make them to conform is you need the buy-in. There is nothing, and this is where the question that Yomi or Tunji asked the other time about stakeholders management. This particular question that Fumi is asking is one of those questions they will ask you at an interview. This is just think about it. They ask you. So what they are telling you is, how do you manage difficult stakeholders? How will you manage difficult stakeholders? So for me, this is how I've always managed difficult stakeholders. I mean, manage this kind of question, even though I might not have experienced difficult stakeholders before. But you have to position. You can never go to an interview. You can never go to an interview and they ask you how will you manage a difficult stakeholder, or have you worked, and you tell them, you know what, I've never worked with a difficult stakeholders before. I know that. No, I'll tell them this. That question has come so many times, and I can say that I've gone for like 15. No, not 15. I've worked 7. Yeah, I've done 10 interviews in the last 7 years. Let's put it that way. In the last 7 years, and out of the 10, I got 7. I rejected 2. I didn't get 1. Okay, so this is how it works. Telling them that, you know what, yeah, I've worked in that particular organization. I've worked with a project manager who believes that I was coming into the organization because I was called to come and implement a project management methodology, a Prince2 methodology, or we need to start working in an agile environment and make the environment more agile. And I was getting a kind of difficulty in getting the buy-in of this particular project manager or some stakeholders within the organization. But what I have to tell them is, you know what, I am here to help. I'm here to make the process more simplified. I'm not here to manage you. I'm not here to micromanage you. I'm not here to make your life difficult. I am here to make life very simple. How do you think I can help you? Or what are the things you think are not working well for you? So it's all about making them to see the reason why you're there. And like I said, I've I've been blessed. I've really, really been blessed that in all the places I've worked, I've never worked with difficult stakeholders. Maybe because of the way I approach some of these people. When I get into organization, trust me, I get into an organization with the mind of coming to 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 give my quota to the organization. So they always see me as I'm here to help. Even my first speech, when I'm being introduced to organization, my first speech will tell you that, you know what, I'm here to help you. I will need your help so much as you will need my help as well. I've got wealth of experience where I'm coming from, and that's where I'll roll out my profile to say, I've worked for this organization, I've worked for GSK, I've worked for British Petroleum, I've worked for MasterCard, I've worked for British American Tobacco, I've worked for Mitsubishi, I've worked for Shell. That is when I'll roll out. So they will know that this guy is coming, and I'll say, I've got experiences. I understand some of the issues you might be facing, and I'm here to help. I'm here to help. I'm not here to manage anybody. I'm here to help the team. And that is the way I will do it. And so coming back to your question to say, how will you implement? Implementation is very simple. You need to start it. You need to start it yourself. You can't tell someone that you have to go there, you have to go there, you have to go there, you have to do this, you have to do this. No, you have to tell them. You have to start doing it yourself first. You have to say, you know what if we do this? What if we implement this? And they have to see that the process is simple enough. When a process is cumbersome, when a process is difficult to understand, nobody wants to implement such a process. You will start seeing pushbacks. So first thing you need to do is get a buy-in. And one of the ways to get a buy-in, look for that person that is really, really vocal. That person that is really, really vocal is the person you want to invite for coffee. That's the person you want to invite for coffee, and you want to talk to that person. You want to explain more things to that person about how you've implemented this thing before, or how you think this thing will work, or asking, yes, negotiation, basically, how you think this will help them and all of that. And you can do an interview, you can say, this is the way you've worked it before, and it has really, really worked well, and all that. And so that is the way I will go about it. It's all about talking. It's all about getting the buy-in of these people. You can't force a process on anybody. Trust me. That is the mistake some organizations would do when they bring in change. They are not getting the buy-in of people, and they just want to implement change. By the time they implement the change, they will discover that nothing is happening within the organization. Okay. Anoy is asking that, what about some with no experience? If you don't have experience, you just have to talk your way through it. You just have to talk your way through it like you've got that experience. Trust me. You just have to convince them like you've got that experience. Tell them. You might not have done it for big organization. You have done it in your home. You've done it in your house. If you're in a church and you're within a team, you've done it within a team. Magnify it. Magnify it like you did it for the whole of United Kingdom, or for the whole of Nigeria. Do you understand? Sell yourself and all that. So that is the way. Angela is asking, I would say Ally report can be used to report to your project managers and use status report for key stakeholders, because you will not want your stakeholders to see. Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, different levels of communication. And this is exactly what you have to state whenever you are doing your terms of reference on your governance. Whenever you're developing your governance structure, these are things you need to say in there. I hope I've not missed anybody. Olufemi is asking that, what is the difference between starting and initiating a project? That is where we're going now. So that is what we're doing for the next 14 minutes. About the 7 processes of Prince2. There are 7 processes we need to talk about, which is starting up a project, directing a project, initiating a project, controlling a project, managing project delivery, as well as managing a stage boundary. Then the closing is closing a project. All right. Let's talk about the processes. So we have, like I said, we have 7 principles, we have 7 processes, then we have 7 themes. We've spoken about the 7 principles. We've spoken about the 7 themes. So now let's talk about the 7 processes that we have. So the processes are simple. The processes are simple, and I'm showing this. I'll take you through the PRINCE2 process because most of the things you're using in the UK or in some in Nigeria is PRINCE2. But if you're in America, we'll talk about that the first 30 minutes next week. Or Canada, that's what we'll be talking about. Now, everything you're seeing here is just formality. I'll say the reason why. If you want to do a project, your life, even life, you go through 5 stages or 5 processes. First of all, you will initiate the project. You will plan the project. You will execute the project. You will monitor and control whatever is happening within the project. Then lastly, you will definitely do what? You will now close out the project. Right. So you first of all, so that is a normal process from starting a project to finishing a project. Initiate a project, plan a project. After planning, then let's do the work. After doing the work, let's monitor and control the work we have done to be sure that we've done what is expected of us. Then next to that is we now need to close out the project. So I'll come back again. Let's take our rice project. We initiate the project by saying, you know what, we need to cook rice. Okay, who is gonna be our cook? Okay, Angela. We're saying, Angela, we're giving you the project mandate to do this for us. Angela is saying, okay, thank you, Aya, for that, for the project manager, for making me the project manager on this particular cooking project. She now say, okay, good. Who do I need? I need Tunji, because Tunji is an experienced negotiator. Tunji can go to the shopping mall and get us what we need to get properly. Okay. Who else do I need? Yes, I can use Fumi. Fumi knows how to blend very well. Okay, I'll consult Fumi. Oh, who else can I use? I will use Elizabeth. Elizabeth cooked rice for 1,000 people the last time. Okay, so that is in your head. That is what you're trying to do in your head. You're just trying to capture, appoint executive, your project manager, do your stuff and all of that. You're thinking about that. I'm just in initiation now. Then the next thing you now start thinking. So you've initiated. So Angela now says, guys, let's sit down. Let's plan. How do we want to do this? She says, sit down, let's plan, let's do this. So what you've done is you've now gone into the planning stage. Say, you know what, we need 5 kg of rice to be able to feed all of these people. We need this amount of pepper. We need that Maggi. We need that sauce. We need that seasoning. We need this. We need that. We need this. We need that. What you've done so far is you're planning. Or you say, okay, we'll boil the rice for 3 minutes. I mean, for 40 minutes. Okay, we will blend the pepper for 5 minutes. Okay, after that, we'll now pour the pepper into that. We'll boil it. After we boil, we'll put our seasoning. And what you're doing at that time is you're planning. After you're done with planning, what do you now do? Now let us start cooking the rice. So in the process of cooking the rice, what you're doing is you're executing the project. So after executing the project, you now say, you know what? Are we putting the proper seasoning? Is a burner okay? Hope is too much of fire under it. And what you're doing is you're monitoring and controlling what is happening. At the end of the day, what do? You now say, okay, everything is ready. Mr. Sponsor AY, Angela is coming to me to say, this is the food you asked me to prepare. Can you taste it? Is it okay? Is it what you want? Is that all you want? And I'm saying yes. The moment I nod yes to that, then we can now close out the project. So you can see that in life, the project is just initiate, plan, execute, monitor and control, then close out a project. But Prince2 came up with this. Prince2 came up with this chart to say, you know what? Yes, I know that is the 5 stages we need to do. But first of all, we need to start up a project. When we start up a project, what we need is we need to get a project mandate. To get a project mandate to start up a project, appoint the project executive, capture previous lessons learned, and do all of that. Then do your outline business case. So the project mandate is just for us to start up a project. What we now need to do is now go into proper initiation of a project. So we're now going into proper initiation. Proper initiation now is we now need to start thinking, what is the risk management approach we need to take? What is the quality management approach we need to take? What is the project control? How do we refine our business case? How do we talk about our PID, business initiation document? So what is coming out of this particular project? One document is coming out of this particular project, or two major things are coming out of this particular initiation stage, which is your project initiation document. Your project initiation document is that big document that is telling you what the project is all about. This initiation document has got a business case inside. It's got your quality management approach or plan. It's got your risk management strategy inside. It's got all your approach, all the approach you want to take, all the plans you have on the project. It's got it as initiate a project. So after you have initiated a project, we can now go into directing a project. So directing a project is more like, okay, what do we need to do? Then this is the proper work. What do we need to do? What do we need to do? What are the things we need to do? After that, we now go into what we call manage a stage boundary. So you can see that directing a project comes from start to finish. So that is the top guys. The guy in purple is the top guy. Those are the top guys. That's more like the project manager as well as the project board, looking at what exactly is happening. Managing a stage boundary. As a project manager, you need to manage what is happening from one stage to another. Then you are managing product delivery. That is the work of a team guys. The team guys are managing the blue guys underneath. That is where the actual work is being done. That is where the actual work is being done. Then while the actual work is being done, definitely you need to control whatever is happening while the actual work is being done. You control whatever is happening. And after you're doing that, you now move to your orange, which is, yes, we accept it. This is the work we want to do. We've tested the product. This is what we agree that we will do. Then after that, you now close out your project. If by the time you manage your product delivery, you're controlling the stage and you notice that the product was not done properly, then that is where the green goes. You go into this, then you now go back into your directing. Into your directing is where you see the change request and all of that to say, you know what, that is not what we ask you to do. So you can see that the circle keeps going on and on and on and on until an appreciable project is given and we can close out, we can go to the orange and close out the project because that is what is necessary. So everything you have there is what I've explained. You need to start up a project to ensure that the prerequisites for initiating a project are in place by answering the question. So I'm sure I've answered your question. Who asked that question again? Olufemi, I think I've answered your question now for you to know the difference between starting up a project and initiating a project. Any question? Because the project mandate, it's not though, but in most cases, yes, it is, but it's not. Because the project mandate is that thing that initiates the project. So the moment they give you the project mandate, that initiate the project is inside the project mandate. You see that okay, project sponsor has been assigned, but sometimes yes, it's always left to the project board to decide all of that. Then they now give the project manager the go ahead to go into the initiation stage. But most times, the project is within the organization. The project manager is part of the initial stage of starting up a project. Is the mandate supplied by the CEO or the program office? It's dependent. It's dependent on whoever is sponsoring the project. I'll give you a typical example. on the project I am at the moment, the MD is the one that gave the mandate. Meanwhile, in some other organizations, it might not be the MD, it might just be maybe director of project or whatever that is given the mandate. So it's whoever is supplying the money or whoever has been appointed. So the corporate organization can appoint someone to say, you know what, Tunji, you will be our eyes in that particular project. Go write the mandate. You need the project, go write the mandates, get your team together and just work it out as a project, as our high here, select a project manager, choose your project manager, run the project and let it go. Okay, any other question? We have starting up a project. Then we have initiating a project, which I've explained is the purpose to establish solid foundation for the project. Just remember in your head, the critical thing we want to get out of initiating a project is the project initiation document, PID, PID. That's a document we want to get out of this. Then next to that is we have directing a project. Directing a project is to enable the project board to be accountable for the project success. Like I said, there's a project board up there, as well as a project manager, making sure that, yes, we authorize things to make sure that, yeah, we're giving direction, to make sure that changes that are coming to us are being approved or are being assessed, approved, rejected, or deferred. That is directing the project. Next to that is controlling the stage. Now you're controlling the stage. This is where your project assurance guys will come in, or this is where your project change authority will come in to say, okay, what do we need to do? Okay, there's that change. What we need to analyze that change. What do we do? You control. Are we doing what we said we would do? The baseline is this. Are we working to baseline, or we need an exception to this? We need to check this. We need a checkpoint report. We need to look at this. What is our progress report? And all that. That's what you're doing at the controlling stage. So it says to assign work to be done, monitor such work, deal with issues, report progress to the project board, and take corrective actions to ensure that the stage remains within tolerance. Next to that is managing product delivery. So to control the link between the project manager and the team manager. So we have a project manager and the team manager here managing product delivery. They are delivering the product, and you as a project manager, they are giving it to you to say, you know what, we're delivering this product to you. Can you check it to make sure that this is what you wrote in your product description document that we are delivering? So the team manager is there delivering the product to you, and your job is to look at it and say, okay, yes, we agree on this. Yes, we agree on that. Yes, we agreed on this, and all of that. Make sense? Okay, so next to that is managing stage boundary. Remember, we said there are stages, a no-go or go area. So we want to know, okay, we finish this stage. Can you access this stage, assess this stage, assess the stage, and please tell us if we are good to move to the next stage of a project. So the major output of these is your end stage report. So we need a report. Can we have a report to say this was the stage, this was what happened at this stage, this was what happened, we were able to do this, we're able to do that, we're able to deliver this at this stage, and that is it. And lastly is a closing a project. So to provide a fixed point at which acceptance of a project product is confirmed. So at this stage, what we are confirming is we're confirming, verify this product. Is this what you said we should do? This is what we have done. Can you please check it? Are we meeting the objective of this particular project? Is that the objective of the process? What are the lessons learned? And all that, then we draft our project closure notification. Okay. Just explaining more of the organization, which I've spoken about earlier on. The question for today. Any question? Oh, okay, someone is typing. Someone type the question. Yes, Yomi, go ahead. You said there's a question. Okay, Yomi is asking, managing product delivery overall doesn't have any interaction with the project board. Any life exceptional situation where there could be an interaction without the PM. There can't be interaction without a PM. The PM interacts with everything. Sorry. The PM is there. The PM is there to interact. The PM is there to make the job done. So the PM will interact with everybody. We interact with the top guys out there. And whatever you're managing, so whenever you're managing product delivery, don't forget, when you manage product delivery, you want to be sure that the product that you said they should do is what they have done. So if anything is happening, you have to report. If anything should happen to the product, you have to report to the people directing the project board who are directing the project. Yes, the project manager is the middle lad. Correct. Okay, Yomi, yes, your reason for asking? Yes, you have some roles that are, yeah, people are actually using a hybrid now. Organizations prefer to get hybrid. They prefer to get a BA that understands how to manage project, or a project manager that understands how to elicit requirements as well. Yes. So because of that, yes, it would definitely, they want someone to come in, write the business case as a BA, and also manage the project while it's ongoing, and also interface with the people. The sponsor is the person that is bringing down the money. It's the person releasing the money. So in an organization, the sponsor might be the CEO. It might be someone appointed by the CEO to release the money to do the project. So that is who a sponsor is. Yes, yes. As a BA, definitely you will definitely need to interact with the project board, because you're acting. So the BA in that aspect is acting as this guy. Let me show you. So the BA at that point is acting as a project assurance, like you can see it. So the BA is acting as a project assurance. You can see that the BA is interacting with those guys, as well as talking with the project manager, as well as the team manager. Does that make any sense to you? So sometimes a BA role can be that. While we still have a project manager, they have a parallel kind of conversation. This is a dotted line. Okay. Any other question? Good. All right. In the absence of none, we will see next week by God's grace. So enjoy your week. Read wild. Go on YouTube. There are numerous materials on YouTube. Try and read on YouTube and have fun. All right. See you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Welcome.